Oh, wow, there he is. Oh, my Scotty. Wow. His eyes just stare through you.
Yes, that is why James was after him for 3 years to be the model.
Oh, buddy, I
Are you
miss you.
ready to talk about
You
this?
make me cry. I miss my buddy.
There you go. I've already been tearful today, so we're a pair. All right. Hey, Brad.
Hey, Charlotte.
Thank you so much. You're part of our family now.
Well, thank you.
Um, I want to talk about our first encounter, which was it was the first time James's artwork had been seen in 16 years.
Really, I did not know that.
My husband had MS for over 35 years, and he painted all of this in the throes of MS.
Wow.
And he's self-taught.
Wow.
So what was great about that is Generational Journeys was really the heart of his legacy is that he believed that young artists should be apprentices with elder artists and masters.
Yeah.
And when I met him, we came up with the idea of the Master's Apprentice Preservation Foundation, that young artists with their technology would document the work of elder and disabled artists who there were no computers in their time.
Yeah.
So when I met Nan, Rihanna, I don't like to shorten her name, I said, you should be part of this thing. And so he would have been her mentor.
Yeah.
And so now she's, my little
There you
mentee.
go.
So anyway, when I ran into you, we started, I think it was the first time you saw the video of James talking about it, and you saw
Well,
the,
I came to Nan's show,
I
and that's
know,
a little over a year ago.
it was exactly a year ago.
Yeah. So, just friend of the family, and they kind of adopted me. I think. I don't know. I probably won't get an inheritance. I don't think.
Well,
So,
what did you, when you first saw the 3 minute video of James, which he rarely talked about his artwork,
uh-huh.
and you saw Scotty's painting
So,
in
oh
that
my
video?
gosh, I hadn't seen Scotty in years, and I had seen a digital version of the portrait when Scotty first showed me many years ago down in my basement up in Bella Vista. Um, but So I'm at Nan's show and I'm admiring everybody else's show and I'm just walking around, got my little plate of snacks, and I'm looking around and I'm just walking out in the lobby and I look up and there's Scotty staring at me in the face and it was on a television monitor, right? You
Right.
all were just shifting slides, so I hit it at like the perfect time. I'm just looking, and the next one up was Scotty staring at me, and oh gosh, my heart just flew.
Well, I know that you told me that you thought Scotty had a lot of tall tales, and he
Uh huh.
told you that he was, a model for this artist guy.
So Scotty, everybody loves Scotty. I mean, just charismatic. He'll just draw you in this conversation, and yes, so many eloquent stories and stuff, and so many of them you just wonder, okay, that can't be real. Everything that you're telling me, and but then little by little, some of them would prove true or whatever,
Right.
and that was a big one. So Scotty had been telling me about this artist local that had been chasing him around for years, so, but it was so extravagant, the story. You think, yeah, whatever. And then one day, I guess your husband had reached out to Scotty or something, and or had posted something online, maybe on Facebook. I don't know, but Scotty shows it to me, and I'm like, you were telling the truth the whole time, and then so I hadn't seen that image in, I want to say, over 10 years. It was in March 2010 when I met Scotty. So yeah, so all those years ago, and then there he was staring at me again in the lobby. Amazing.
We did an interview a week or so ago with a painting called The Princess of the Lake.
Uh huh.
And another woman who's part of the Nancy Drew crew of James's Legacy
Yeah.
Project said that one should hang next to The Fallen Angel of War and Peace, because the juxtaposition of both of those are extraordinary.
Yeah.
And and the story was really quickly is that James and our daughter were in an antique shop in Eureka Springs, and they saw
Yeah.
this beautiful woman trying on this chainmail.
Yeah.
And she said all of a sudden they looked at each other, and her father had a faraway look, and he was already seeing the painting.
Uh-huh.
And he, sometimes the universe smiles on you where you get the right model.
Yeah.
And when he saw Scotty, and I know that he was, pretty much on the street
Scotty was
sometime.
living on the street. He, one of the places he slept was like in the dugout of a baseball field there in Dentonville. And then I met him at World Garden Restaurant. He'd come and visit and just kind of hang out outside, and we just struck up a great relationship. And then he came and lived with us for a while.
I love that. So that was so beautiful that you saw Scotty and you saw the humanity in Scotty, and you invite him to come into your home with your family.
Yeah, is beautiful. So we lived up in Bella Vista and in the highlands of Bella Vista, so pretty far from South Bentonville, where World Garden Restaurant was. And my friend Rick Busey and his family were running that, um, and then my young friend, she was in high school then. Chloe Seal was the coffee barista there,
Right.
and I'm hanging out there all the time because this was kind of like a lot of us community service volunteers, a gathering place for us, and that was the mission of the restaurant. Proceeds went to helping people, and so I was part of the Cobblestone Project back then, a nonprofit, and my role in that was I led the distribution network for rescuing harvest, near dated produce, and then redistributing around Northwest Arkansas. So I'm down there collaborating, and of course, I've got my day job, of course, with Walmart corporate in the time. So I'm kind of remote officing in the restaurant, and then so Chloe, again, maybe a high school junior, senior at the time, walks up to me and says, "Brad, I got to tell you a story. I want you to hear this, and then I want your opinion on what I'm doing here. So Scotty had been sitting outside. We had seen him a few days, and he always kind of liked to isolate by himself, and not really anybody was engaging with him. We
Right.
casual hellos as we come and go, and then so one day it was put on Chloe's heart. I'm going to go engage with him. I'm going to talk with him. So she takes him a cookie. And Scotty, he would say it over and over again, just how much that meant to him,
Right.
to just get a cookie,
Yes.
from young Chloe. And then so they just got to talking, and then that inspired Chloe again, this high schooler, to get with a couple of her girlfriends also in high school, and they launched a nonprofit at that age called 3 Bags in 2 Days, and it was all geared around just like a simple shopping plastic bag, filling it full of necessities for folk living on the street.
Right.
And so Scotty launched that nonprofit, and there's so many stories like Scotty. He would inspire this. Scotty, for me, really lit a fire in me to go deep. And so yes, Chloe introduced me to Scotty, and then we struck up a friendship talking. And I said, "Man, I got some like yard work up in Bella Vista. You want to come do that sometime?" And so I told you, I'm looking at my old notes from Scotty when we first met,
right.
March of 2010, and on the end of the month, on the 30th, 31st. I see our dialogue where Scotty didn't have a phone, so he had to borrow a phone from Ben, who was working at World Garden, and here I'm trading texts, and hey, are you coming, whatever. And so he shows up, and he does some yard work, rakes some leaves or whatever, and that's all great. Well, afterward, I come to find out is he hitchhiked to Bella Vista, and a lot of it was he walked miles from Bentonville to the north end of Bella Vista to my house, and I think he picked up one ride in there, and I'm like, dude, you can't. I'm not. stay with us tonight, whatever. So we set him up in our unfinished basement, and so we set him up, and then we kept. Then this evolved one day, and it turned into a few, turned into a week. What Scotty ended up living with us for like 7 months.
Wow.
And but yeah, we set him up pretty cool. He had a fridge, and he had he was living large, a true bachelor man life down there. And um, broke my heart the day he left us. Yeah, he had found an online girlfriend. I guess they'd been talking for years. Well, that I think it was that video that I showed you from some Mark Horvath came down, who runs the Invisible People nonprofit. He goes around and interviews a lot of homeless and
That's
shares their
incredible.
stories.
That's great.
So he traveled around, and he was friends with a lot of us down in Northwest Arkansas. So he interviewed me and Scotty. And so the sharing of that video online, he's got a YouTube channel, and Scotty's girlfriend found out about it. And immediately she calls Scott, I'm coming to get you, man. And so I remember sitting in my backyard on a deck and the amazing thing about Scotty, here's a guy who, just destitute. He's got all these crazy stories that so much ended up being true, and just just all his struggles. Have his demons he's struggling with, and but he was an amazing not just construction but architecture. So he drew me up plans for backyard, an amazing deck and retaining wall, and he built that. And he always talked about his military service where he worked demolitions, and so he one of the things he would say on all these retaining walls that he designed and built first, he said, "Man, I built this this is overbuilt. This is built to withstand bombs."
Right.
I mean, because I have that background, but he sitting out on the deck that he constructed for us in our backyard. And he said, "Brad, I got to tell you something. My girl's coming down to get me, and I'm leaving you." And my heart just sank because we had become such buddies.
Yeah.
And I cried when he left us. So.
I would, so much of this because I'm learning the stories behind the art and meeting the models, because, that James waited like a heron patiently, for 3 years for him to agree. There's no one else that could have done this.
No.
Because what this is about, James never talked about his artwork. So if you're looking at that, you see something completely different than what I see. And when he grew up, his grandmother, I trained to be a Montessori teacher. Yeah. So the absorbent mind from 0 to 6, it's locked in.
Yeah.
And his grandmother was his first teacher, and she taught him to draw and taught him music. But she had these beautiful old books with plates of fairies and mythology and illustrated Bibles. So that is locked into his head. So he's a master of modern mythology. And what he would tell me, when people look at his artwork, you interpret it with your own imagination and tell your own story. But the story for me, when I look at it, is like the first, and he would say this too, the first angels were not this, little fluffy lady with white wings and fairy-like. They were warriors.
Yeah.
And sent down here to, try to keep us on track. But when you look at this painting, this archangel is shot through the arm. His wings have been shot. He's looking, like I'm so tired that you all are going to do it again. He's a modern warrior. He's got an AK, whatever the hell that thing is. And the book he's recording, I do know this is what James said, he's recording the stories.
Yeah.
But yet, after all of this futility, he's tempted by the coins, by the gold.
Yeah.
But people are going to see it religiously. People are going to see it mythologically, and
you know what I see?
What?
I see that's exactly Scotty. Just full of lived stories.
Yes.
Of just a heart caring for others, but purpose and sacrifice and on mission. And but yeah, you just see the warrior and you think, man, that's a scary guy. But I'm just looking at him right now, and it's
There's
just all the
wisdom. There's
history.
wisdom in those
Yes.
eyes, and then I would. There used to be right where you came in an old picnic table, and so Scotty's sitting at the old picnic table, and I would. I always say I'd love to be a dragonfly on the pond to hear what those two men talked about, because James was an engineer, James was an architect,
Uh-huh.
James, understands the perils of war,
Yeah.
and it would have been.
So he did this from a pose here.
Yes. So
That's
I don't know how
cool.
long Scotty was here. I mean, did he talk
Also,
about what it was like to pose for James, or?
no, he just told me that, hey, there's this famous artist around Northwest Arkansas that I knew nothing about. Yeah, he's been chasing me for years, and I finally said yes, and then yeah, and you're like, okay, Scotty, whatever. And then one day he shows me the portrait. Oh my gosh, dude.
Yeah. So it's so great, to again this, have those stories of, because one thing when James would choose or be commissioned to do a portrait, we just went to the Fay Jones School of Architecture and
Mm-hmm.
Design, and he was friends with Fay, and so I never see a lot of his artwork. I've never seen it in person. So I went to go see the bust and interview
Yeah.
Michelle Parks, who's the communications
Uh-huh.
director. But he wrote a story, a letter about his friendship with Faye, and they couldn't find that, but they brought the original drawings he did
Yeah.
that Faye sat for, and it blew me away because he catches these are living, breathing entities when he's done with it. He really understands the soul that was in Scotty, and it
Yeah.
comes out. This is one of James. This is the masterpiece,
Yeah.
and some people are frightened of it, but it's actually when you talked about the humanity where you brought this person that was on the street to your home,
Yeah.
that I hope parlays out into the world. I mean, each person is a walking, talking human
Mm-hmm.
being out there.
Absolutely. Everybody's got a story to tell.
Everybody's got a
Scotty had a
story.
bunch of them.
Yeah, I bet. Well, I'm so glad he stuck around and didn't go off with his lady friend and modeled for this painting. So,
Buddy.
well, welcome to our family.
Well, thank you very much. I'm